Hey, here I am and welcome back. My name is Nathan and this week I'm going to show you how to make my swatch sheet.
Ooh, yes.
Over on Shorts I have a series called Mini Tip Monday where I share my favorite tips about urban sketching. These are things that I've learned from other people, things that I've discovered myself, or things that I just think you might find interesting. Anyway, and last week my tip was to create a swatch sheet, which is very difficult to say. So from now on, I'm going to be calling it a cheat sheet. Basically, it is a swatch of the colors that I have in the palette that I take with me, and I've mounted it on some hard card. So I can use this to lean on while I am outside sketching because I won't have a table. And over on TikTok, somebody left me a message asking me to create a video showing how I make this. I'm actually in need of doing another one because I have bought a couple of extra colors. I'm going to make another one and I'm going to make a bigger one. So to create this, we are going to need some card. This isn't actually card. This is foam board, which I've never used before. You'll have to cut it to whatever size you want. Last time I just did a little small one. This time I want a bigger one anyway. So I'm going to leave it this size. You will need some watercolor paper, preferably the same watercolor paper as the paper that you use normally. You're going to need a pencil and a ruler, a paintbrush, some water, and you can use some kitchen roll, but I like to reuse an old dust cloth. Do I need anything else?
Bonk.
Maybe a pen. And a pen. So now I'm going to bring it down onto the desk and we're going to work this out. Now, first of all, this is the palette that I'm going to be swatching, which is a very messy lid. When I do the swatching, I'm going to use this palette here. I'm not going to use these colors. I'm just going to use these palettes. First of all, I need to remove a couple of these because I'm making some changes. These 6 are Daniel Smith colors. These 2 are Winsor and Newton, but I want to have a cool and a dark of each color. I couldn't find Daniel Smith in Barcelona, so I've got these Van Gogh ones, which I've never used before, but the light fastness is high, so let's see how they go. I'm just going to reorganize this a little bit. If you have a cool and a warm of each color, it's going to give a much wider variety of the colors that you can mix. Okay, so in theory, that should be a cool yellow, lemon yellow, warm yellow, which is a Hansa yellow, Pyrrole scarlet, warm, alizarin crimson, cool, phthalo blue, cool, and then ultramarine, which is warm, phthalo green, which is cool. So now I have bought olive green, which will be warm. We're going to put that off to one side for now. Let's get into this foam board. Also, this foam board's really lightweight. Okay, so we need this to match in size. I forgot to mention you also need PVA glue. You can of course use scissors to cut this out. Okay, more or less. Actually, I'm also going to keep a little piece of this just in case I need to try anything unexpected. Okay, now the foam board can go to one side for the time being. I'm going to take my little sketchbook. This is the one that I use the most. If I were to, oh, why are they, oh gosh, that's too stressful. Get out of my way. If I were to use this to sketch on here, how high is that going to come up? Which now means that this will be my area for leaning, and this is the area that I'm going to do the swatch. Now then, I have 8 colors in here, which means I'm going to have to do, here I did a 6x6, but on here I'm going to have to do an 8x8. Okay, there you go. So it's 8x8. Now this step is not necessary. This is just me because I like everything to look kind of sketchy. But maybe if you want to practice your straight line drawing, you can do this. This is just the aesthetic I like. Okay, so now what we need to do, I'm just going to activate those a little bit first. I'm going to take the lemon yellow, a nice good amount of it, and we're going to color in the first square, which is here. I'm going to paint all of that square. Lovely, just like that. And this is where the cloth comes in. I don't want to keep contaminating. So now my next one across is the Hansa yellow. And we're going to paint all of the colors diagonally downwards. So then next we've got the Pyrrole scarlet. Oh, I should have done this. Warm, cool. No, cool, warm. Got those the wrong way around. I wanted to go cool, warm all the way along. So it's the same pattern. Move. Oh, they're stuck together with paint. So actually it's going to be alizarin crimson next. I apologize. If you're interested, this Daniel Smith set was this one, Milind Mulik's Master Artist set, and that was about 34 euros on Amazon. Maybe the Da Vinci feels a little bit waterier than the Daniel Smiths, but I don't mind it. Oh, what a lovely array of colours we've got. So now, what we're going to do, I'm going to mix the yellow, the lemon yellow, with the Hansa yellow, and colour in these two. Then the lemon yellow with the alizarin and colour in these two. So I can look across and I can see how each one mixes. It's going to make sense, I promise. I'm going to try and do a 50% mix of both. This one's not going to look so different because it's just two yellows. Now 50% and 50%. Ooh, look at that. Like a rusty colour. I like that. That's a lovely, lovely colour. So again, 50%. Next month I'm going to Colombia and I'm going to be taking this little cheat sheet everywhere with me. So now we have to repeat the same thing again with the Hansa yellow. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Now the Hansa yellow and lemon yellow are already done, so I don't need to do that one again. So I'm just going to go straight in with the crimson. So you can see how warm and warm makes a much brighter orange than cool and cool. And you will notice that you can get such a wide array of colours. It just blows my mind. I just find it very exciting. And the more you make these, the more you will get to know which colours mix in which way and which colours you like. Okay, so now it is time to move on to the crimson. I'm by no means the first person to do a swatch sheet like this. This pattern, I've seen other YouTubers doing this, and I just thought it was a really good idea. I'm by no means any kind of expert on colour theory, which is why I need this, and it's why I made this to take around with me. Because if I needed to mix a purple, I wouldn't necessarily know which red and which blue to mix together. Because you can see they give two very different purples. But the more I do it, and the more I use my cheat sheet, the more I can commit these to memory and without having to think about it. And I just will automatically reach for the scarlet and the phthalo or the alizarin and the ultramarine. But obviously this is just a guide. You can experiment by mixing 75%, 25%. This is just a guide to show us what we can do with 50-50. Just get quicker as you go along because you're running out of places to fill. Look at the browns you get with the green and the red. Just going to have to clean this off a little bit. Oh, I hate it. It does feel like such a waste. So, just hit a snag. My SD card got full. So, it stopped recording and I don't know exactly when it stopped recording. Somewhere around phthalo blue, I'm not really sure. But I did finish. I just continued following the steps. Oh, I also tried writing the name of one of them here and I wrote the wrong one straight away. So, as soon as this is finished dumping onto my laptop, I'm going to continue with the video. Okay? Sorry. Okay, finally we're back on track. It's the next day now, but let's continue. So, I've finished the swatch. Basically everything on this side should be equal to this side. It's like a mirror image. Yesterday I started to write the names of the colours in the palette and I wrote the wrong one because I started copying directly from here. But this one is lemon yellow, so that's what I need to write. And then the next one is Hansa yellow. Basically you're just going to write all of these down here and the same across there. Okay, so now, for example, if I'm looking and I'm thinking, I want this brown colour. I know it is olive green with alizarin crimson. Or I want this purple, the darker purple is phthalo blue with pyrrole scarlet. And that's the way you work it out. Obviously, this isn't foolproof because you can have all the shades in between as well. But it's a good start. The only thing, something is different. What have we got different here? What's this one? Alizarin crimson with the green. You see, I've got a slightly different shade here. This is very green. So I wonder if I can recreate this one, maybe with a bit more crimson. Let's just try that out on my spare sheet here. You see now, yeah. So actually I'm going to make just a couple more swatches across here because I like that as a nice kind of grey colour. Put a little swatch there, and then I'm going to write next to it what that one is. See, here it's got more of a bluey colour. Here it's a reddier colour because I've obviously made a slightly different mix. See, only the slightest bit of extra pigment of the other colour really can change it. It is worth just maybe making a note of which colours make which. If you find a colour by accident that you like, you can always do this as well. Something else I like to do on here is make a swatch of my Tombow pens, because I quite often choose a darker one than I need. So I do like to just give them a little scribble so I can see the colour. Can you even see that? Can you see? It's very faint. And again, this one seems cooler and this one seems warmer. So it really depends what kind of shadows and things you want. These are soluble in water as well, so you can blend these in with your watercolours, which is quite nice. You could do your different thicknesses of pens. Let's do it. While we're here, why not? I'm going to give everything a go. So here I'm going to have a cheat sheet of all of the materials that I might take with me. I don't always take everything, but it's good to know, I guess. So once you've done that and you've written everything that you want on your cheat sheet, now I have to glue this onto our card, or in my case, a foam board. Now I've noticed this side is much smoother. This side looks like it might have a little bit more grip on it. So what I'm going to do is take regular PVA glue, just going to cover the whole thing in glue. I want to make sure it gets right to the edges. So then you're going to take your cheat sheet and line it up with the edges. You're going to want to weigh that down with something very heavy. So there we go. We're going to leave that to dry, and then we're going to come back to this in maybe an hour or two, and that should be completely dry and ready to use. Okay, so finally that should be completely dry. Yes, it is. So now with my sketchbook, in theory, I can clip. Well, that clip's not wide enough. Typical. Yes, excellent. That's what I need, some big fat bulldog clips. I can lean on it, it's sturdy. And then, extra little bonus tip. This one will only work if you have a metal palette, either of these. If you get yourself one of these bulldog clips that has a magnet in, I got these as a pack of 3 from the Pound Shop in the UK. There you go, all in one place. I'm ready to paint with. So, there you go. For me, this has been a game changer, especially with mixing and colour theory. This has really helped me out. Okay, so that's how to make a swatch and a leaning board in one. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you will use this in your sketching, and I'll see you in next week's video. Thanks for watching. Bye.